Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. Again, your host Keith Weissach. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And I always like getting an update. For me, it will always be our Troop C segment. We welcome back into the program Trooper Ross Brennan. Trooper, thanks for being here.
Always a pleasure. Enjoy.
All right. Well, listen, man, we're just wrapping up with Mardi Gras. But it was one of those times where you and your team were very involved. Tell us a little bit about maybe just a bit of a Mardi Gras update.
Yeah, I know all the departments were probably extremely busy. I know we certainly were.
Right.
So it's nice to have that little bit of a break after the Mardi Gras season. But just these past 2 weeks, basically during our Mardi Gras time, if we just look at DUI arrests, we actually arrested 87 impaired drivers statewide. All right,
wow.
That's across the whole state. But what's interesting about that is that out of those 87, 24 of those arrests was just in our Troop C area down here. So you figure nearly a quarter of DUI arrests statewide for the last 2 weeks was just down here in our area, which, I mean, that shows that our troopers are definitely out there looking for impaired drivers, trying to prevent these tragedies from happening, from people getting involved in crashes, hurting or killing themselves, unfortunately, other people.
Yeah.
So that's certainly good, especially with, manpower issues, by people helping out with different parades, things like that also. So that's pretty impressive, I think, for our guys down here.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's one of those things, we look at that number and we think, oh my gosh, that's a high number. Well, it is, but it's also a high number of people that are not putting everybody else at risk.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
getting them off the road.
And speaking of that too, on February 24th, we actually held a DWI checkpoint in Lafourche Parish in front of the Thibodaux Police Station. And it was us, along with Thibodaux Police, Lafourche Sheriff's Office, Terrebonne Sheriff's Office, Nichols Police Department, the St. James Sheriff's Office, and also Harbor Patrol. We were all out there doing this checkpoint. And out of 188 vehicles that traveled through it, 8 drivers were found to be driving impaired behind the wheel. In fact, one of the drivers was nearly 3 times the legal limit driving through the checkpoint. So those are additional 3 lives, and also innocent people's lives, that we potentially help save by getting these impaired drivers off the street. In addition to those impaired drivers, there was also 6 drug arrests and also a stolen gun that was recovered during the checkpoint.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things, like we talked about, you don't always expect to get that kind of volume because, people kind of get the word out. But it's really good to know that people are just maybe not making really good decisions, and you and all of those other team members, all of those other, it's almost like a task force, if you will, all really looking for the safety of the people out on the road.
Yeah, and this all stemmed from that multi-agency law enforcement meeting they had back in December, right?
Right,
And we're going to keep talking about that.
Yeah.
But it's all stemming from that. All these departments are coming together to try to make a difference, especially trying to reduce these fatalities and serious injury crashes because of impaired drivers on our roadway. And getting 8 off a checkpoint, I just think, is also amazing. And of course, there's a lot of people on the road too, out there driving impaired, especially during Mardi Gras. You leave the parade and might not be thinking the right way about a designated driver or an alternative ride home. But we were definitely out there trying to help prevent these tragedies.
Yeah, and we got some drugs off the street, and we got a stolen gun.
Yeah, which could prevent potential crime in the future also.
Exactly. And so it's just really nice to know that you guys are working together just to kind of keep us safe.
Correct.
And really fighting for those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Some other Mardi Gras updates from you guys, from your team?
We had a lot of crashes with more people down here coming to the parades. There was a lot more traffic on the roadways.
Right.
We investigated 91 crashes. That's anywhere from just a minor injury to no injury all the way to severe injury. Unfortunately, we did have a fatality crash that happened during that time frame. That was on 182 near the Raceland Sugar Mill. A vehicle we're still trying to figure out, single occupant vehicle. She went off the road and she hit a culvert at a high rate of speed, and unfortunately she passed away during that crash. We don't know yet if impairment. We're still waiting on toxicology results with that. But
well, that's a really low number considering, because I will tell you, this Houma, Terrebonne, Thibodaux, Lafourche area have all been one of the places that were recommended as the best places to come and see a Mardi Gras parade. And so a lot of people who maybe didn't want to go to the big cities to do that and wanted to kind of stay COVID safe came down here. So we had a lot of people from out of town to only have one fatality, and it was a single car fatality, meaning that even someone else's life wasn't taken.
No, it definitely, I think it was pretty successful Mardi Gras period this year compared to other ones in the past. I do think more people are probably making better choices because we're out there pushing a more stronger DWI message, things like that. So yeah, I think we're pretty proud of the citizens and everybody, even the visitors around here. I think we had a pretty successful Mardi Gras season.
I'd like to think that it's people that are watching you and I talk about the preparation and the better things that people can do. I mean, it's just, I'd like to think that that's got a lot to do with it. But you guys spend a lot of time and energy, we're going to talk about it in the next segment, but a whole lot of time and energy educating and really making a difference in the community. And it showed up. It reverberated with less crashes, less injuries, and certainly less serious injuries.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a really big deal. And y'all are all over the place. I mean, Troop C is a large service area.
Yeah, all the way from the basically the Sunshine Bridge down the Grand Isle, and from Amelia to Des Allemands. That's all our area right there, about 5 different parishes. So it's a pretty big area.
Right. And then up and down Highway 24, that's kind of where all of the festivities took place.
That's where it was.
You know, both from Thibodaux and towards the Houma area, all the way out to everything that took place on the east side as well of Houma. And so it was nice to not have you come on and talk about, you know, families that have been destroyed and families that have lost their lives.
Exactly.
And so, you know, one life is too many.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was only one life and one fatality crash, I mean, you know, that's exciting. Yeah.
Unfortunately, for a time, I kind of felt like the Grim Reaper, always talking about bad crashes and stuff that happen on the roadway. So, hopefully this year, 2022, it's the turnaround. We're going to have less fatality crashes, less serious injury crashes, and people just make better choices behind the wheel.
This was a really good season. It's a good time to kind of talk about how involved you are, but y'all had a presence here during Mardi Gras that was different, and I think made a difference for a lot of people.
So we actually we drove our giant DWI bus, and it's part of our South Central Regional Safety Coalition. So all the different law enforcement agencies in our area down here, they actually have access to this DWI bus, and basically it has a breathalyzer, and we bring out the checkpoints. But on side the bus, they have some anti-DWI messaging. So on the side, they'll say over the limit, under arrest, or don't let us be your designated driver, and has a picture of all the different agency badges. But anyway, so during a lot of these parades, crew of Xanadu in Labadeville, we did Aphrodite, we did another parade in Houma. We brought this bus out to the parades, and we actually drove it down the parade route. And the amount of people that I've heard through the windows saying, "Oh, you better not drive drunk tonight," you know, that they're going to be out looking for you. And they might have been joking at that time, but I think that it planted that seed of making a good choice, and made them realize later on, like, yeah, they really are going to be out there looking for impaired drivers. So just having that community involvement, one, and also that messaging of not, you know, driving impaired behind the wheel and making good choices. We were definitely out there with some parades with that. We also had the crash test dummies, some people that were dressed up as crash test dummies. Those were really popular. The kids like taking pictures with them. And it just all kind of went along with, you know, making good choices behind the wheel. We were participating in the Crew of Panda parade at St. Bernadette.
Oh my!
That was fun. That was a good time with that. I enjoyed seeing the floats that the kids made. Different things like that. But that's what we did with the Mardi Gras festivities. But we also were partnered with Thibodaux Regional Wellness Center. So there was this group that we brought down called Arrive Alive Tour. And what they do is they bring a driving simulator that shows impaired driving, distracted driving, and even driving on drugs if somebody's impaired off drugs. So we brought that to the Thibodaux Wellness Center, and we set it up out there. And we had a bunch of different people throughout the day participate in driving simulator and get to see actually what happens when they drive impaired or make distractions in this simulator using virtual reality goggles, actually sitting in the car. So that was that was an eye-opening experience for a lot of people. That's also going to be coming back March 22nd. We're going to bring that to Fletcher Community College. That's going to be coming up soon. So if you have a loved one at Fletcher, let them know that we're going to be out there from 9 to 3. It'll be a really, really great. It doesn't take long, maybe about 5 minutes to do the simulator. So it's not going to keep the students for too long. But it's actually a different school tour. So we're hosting it at Fletcher, but Thibodaux PD, they're going to be hosting at E.D. White. They're going to be hosting at H.L. Bourgeois. So it's going to be a bunch of different schools in our area. It was even at Nichols campus. So, but the ones that we're actually going to be hosting, State Police, that's going to be at Fletcher coming up on March 22nd.
And, you know, it's really a great idea to be able to let kids be able to see what it's like when you're impaired, what it's like when you're impaired with drinking, what it's like to be impaired while you're on drugs. And that way they can maybe get a sense of that. Hopefully it scares them a little bit. Because that's the whole idea, is to make sure that people realize, listen, you're not as in control as you think you are. And so it's kind of make them think. It's kind of like the bus on the parade, you know, seeing that goes, oh, all right, maybe I need to rethink this, you know, or, you know, give yourself that several-hour break and make sure that you're making good choices about keeping you and your family safe.
Yeah, and it's all about just letting people make good decisions or helping encouraging good decisions. Good decisions prevent collisions, right?
Ooh,
so
I like it. Quoted right here.
And that's
by
actually
Trooper
the
Ross
tagline.
Brennan.
That's the tagline of Arrive Alive. That's their
Okay.
slogan, which I think is a great slogan, right?
It
Good
really
decisions.
is.
Even let's just say somebody just texting and driving. You look down at the cell phone. All it takes is like 3 seconds, 2 seconds. It doesn't take long for you to look away, and then you get in a crash. It can be just a minor fender bender crash, right? But it's still a crash. So good decisions all the way from small stuff to major stuff. That's what we're all out there just trying to preach that message and have people make good decisions, good choices behind the wheel, and help everybody get home safely.
You know, it's one of those interesting things. Twice within the last 12 hours, once driving home to go meet my wife, still we have a lot of roadways that are just not lit as well as they used to be before the storm.
Correct.
And so there was a guy walking on the side of the road, and I did not see him at all. And he wasn't paying attention, but thank God I was being very vigilant.
Yeah.
And so I got to see him when I was a couple of car lengths away. I could get over to avoid him. And then driving today, middle of the day, someone who was walking on the side of the street on Grand County Road that didn't have a sidewalk. And traffic was having to avoid that person who wasn't walking very stable. Simply made a phone call to HPD just to try and see if somebody could come and assess that, just see if that person needed some help or not. But it's just being aware of that. So you say 3 seconds, you're exactly right. Being distracted, that could have been 2 fatalities. That it was just me driving.
Like that person walking on the side of the road, it could be a medical condition. It could be somebody maybe impaired off some type of substance. But either way, it's good that you called and made that phone call because you prevented from maybe something bad happening. He walked out in the traffic and getting struck by a vehicle.
Right.
So don't feel like, well, maybe somebody else is going to call. If you do encounter some type of hazardous roadway situation or a crash or whatever, one, either call 911 and get in touch with your local law enforcement agency. But if you're on a state highway, you can always dial us at LSP, star 577. It'll get you in touch with a dispatcher and try to get somebody out there. Because if we can prevent something from even happening, right, that's our whole goal.
Right. And again, it's what the checkpoints are all about. It's what the education at the schools are all about. These virtual options to let people know and being vigilant. It's just one of those things that we need to do. And that's one of those things. Star LSP, star 577, very easy to get in touch with you guys. And so, Russ, we thank you so very much for coming on. We're glad that we had the results that we did for this season. We want 2022 to be our best year yet. That's a really exciting goal to have. And so we want any more fatalities the rest of the year.
No, that's going to be our goal. The destination zero. That's what we're trying to get at, 0 deaths on our highways.
Destination zero. Very good. I appreciate it. Again, Russ Brennan with Troop C. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, guys, that will do it for this particular segment and this Bayou Time. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming here on HTV.